We're in Way Media.
Hello, Twisted Humans. Do you find yourself wanting to know more about the latest murder, conspiracy, cult, or haunting? Then this is the podcast for you. I'm Alecia. And I'm Sierra, and this is Twisted and Uncorked.
Hello, and welcome to episode 136 of Twisted and Uncorked podcast. Today, I have a special topic episode for you.
Woo!
What would begin as a fun night with friends soon turned to tragedy. 5 friends went out in Gitchie Manitou State Park, and only 4 survived. So this week's special topic is sibling crimes, voted on by you guys. So thank you so much. We love doing special topics. But first, Sierra, do you have a fun fact for me?
I do. I found this on TikTok
Wonderful.
by a poster named Billy Blanks Jr.
Love it.
And so I don't know if this is true or not, but it seemed like a historical / statistical whatever page. So I'm believing it. Y'all can at Billy Blanks Jr. if it's wrong. Did you know?
She really did her due diligence here, guys.
Yep. Did you know that the United States is number 1 in the top 10 amount of serial killers? What? And in its number 1 place, numbers 10 through 2 all added together are less than how many the United States has had. The United States in its history has had
horrifying statistic.
The United States in its history has had 3,204 serial killers. At number 2, England has had 166. Number 1 is 3,204. Number 2 is 166. That's fucking insane.
I'm trying to I know I'm really overtired, but I'm trying to process what you just said to me, and it's not okay.
It's so many. It's so crazy. I literally, as I'm saying this out loud, am going to send this to Nick and Mel now because I don't know why I didn't think of that already. So I'm not going to give you the rest of the list, but holy shit, that's a lot of fucking serial killers.
While you were typing, I was like scooping the soup towards myself, and now that it's cooled and it's thick, I just splashed it all over my face. I'm just gonna smell like pumpkin.
Anyway,
you could smell like
what was
things.
What is your fun fact?
My fun fact is from the book 853 Hard to Believe Facts that our patron Becky recommended, and that is, out of superstition, people in Japan avoid whistling or cutting their nails after dark. Whistling was historically associated with burglars signaling to each other at night, like being like, now's the time to go, while cutting your nails is thought to summon evil spirits. So one of those two things makes sense to me, but I thought it was super interesting.
I've heard the cutting your nails thing, really? But I don't understand it. I heard it on Scared to Death, Dan Cummins' podcast with his wife.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I don't understand it though.
Yeah. If you know more information about that, please feel free to let us know. We are going to tell you about this week's wine. And that is, I literally have a screen with it open, Alecia. Do life. Monte del Fra Bordeaux is a Italian red. I am sad and splurged because Italian reds are my favorite, so I said fuck it. And this is 13.5% ABV. And the description is, these bold wines incorporate rich black fruit flavors and spice in a densely structured profile with firm tannins, making them a great pairing for steak, barbecue fare, and flavored cheeses. And I'm just saying, we love a good charcuterie board over here. Flavors include plum, black cherry, cedar, oak, vanilla, spice, and smoke. It is full-bodied and smooth and delicious, and I love it. I've had this wine before, which is why I picked it off the shelf. My dad is also a sucker for Italian wine. Shout out, Dad. So he and I drank it at Thanksgiving, and I loved it. So I was like, I need it again. And then I also feel bad now about the amount of wine that I drink at my parents' house, knowing how much he pays for his bottles of wine. But that's a separate problem. You know what? If you're going to choose to share it with me, you know who I am. So that is this week's wine. What are you drinking in your Christmas Waffle House cup?
My Christmas Waffle House.
It's so stinking cute.
I love it.
It's like it's Christmas and Waffle House up in here, guys.
Yeah.
They live rent-free in Sierra Sound.
You make every day feel like it's Christmas at the Waffle House or something.
If you know it, you know.
I am drinking Mexican hot chocolate. Thank you, Naria.
Mm,
Even when we're not using her
jealous.
book, we're thanking her.
That girl is just the queen of drink recommendations. What can we say?
I know.
Remind the people what is in Mexican hot chocolate again.
Well, it's literally Mexican hot chocolate. I guess technically it's called Abuelita hot chocolate. You buy it. It's like a block of chocolate that you melt into milk and heavy whipping cream and then sprinkle with nutmeg and cinnamon. It's delicious.
Well, that's fun. I'm really jealous because it is super fucking cold here. I could use a hot chocolate, but instead I just have regular chocolate. There was chocolate bars on sale, and so I bought like 20. I'm not exaggerating.
Yeah, I'm tempted to eat a Christmas tree cake right now.
Don't.
I haven't had one yet today.
You have the good stuff. I just have a Snickers bar, you asshole.
I haven't had one today. I've been wanting one. Usually I have it with milk, but maybe with hot chocolate will be fine.
I think chocolate on chocolate is definitely the way to go. I'm just jealous.
P.S. Everyone, if you're eating a Christmas tree cake, the way to eat it is upside down.
Why?
Because this bite right here is the best. The tip of the Christmas tree is the best bite because it's surrounded by this outer shell.
Mm.
You gotta save the best for last.
I used to do that when I was eating dinner as a kid, but sometimes it backfired on me. Like I was like, this sucks.
Oh, because you'd get full first?
Yeah.
Yes. So I have always done that my whole life. And it started backfiring when I started taking that shot that makes me actually feel full. And so now, yes, you're right. It fucking sucks because when I'm done, I'm done. And I'm like, I still have the best bite left.
You've seen how long it takes me to eat food. I eat like a bird. So I'm just full like before I've even started. But I do eat a lot throughout the day. So before I tell you about this week's episode, we are going to hear from the podcast Book of Lies. You know, we love a good book on the podcast. So if you are also a reader, go and check them out. Be right back. Welcome back. So like I said, I am telling you guys about the Gitchie Manitou State Park murders. It is known in the media as such, and there are a lot of names that are thrown around. But our story begins with three men, brothers Alan Fryer, 29, David Fryer, 24, and James Fryer, 21. They were from Sioux Falls in South Dakota.
It's just Sioux. Just Sioux Falls.
Thanks, Sierra.
It's all silent.
I appreciate you.
Yeah. I wonder if I know this because the name sounds familiar, but it being a sibling crime does not at all sound familiar to me.
I'm happy when I get to surprise you. Mm-hmm. So on the evening of November 17th, 1973, 5 teenagers were brutally attacked by the Fryer brothers. When out having a campfire, smoking a little marijuana, you know, just laughing, having fun, as you do as a teenager in the 1970s. And the teenagers were Roger Essam, 17, Stuart Bade, 18, Stuart's younger brother, Dana, and he was 14. Michael Hadrith, 15, and Sandra Chesky, 13. They were out in the state park that evening, having a great time, while the Fryer brothers were out looking to hunt some deer, but instead came across the group of teenagers sitting around their campfire, singing and laughing. David Fryer was sent down to spy on the group and report back to his brothers.
For what? They had bad intentions already?
Yeah, well, they were obviously...
Leave them alone.
I know. Fucking assholes. He came back and he said that the teens were indeed smoking marijuana, and the brothers decided that they would be able to take their weed by impersonating narcotics officers.
Oh no.
The Friars apparently thought that narcotics agents were just allowed to kill drug users and that that was okay. After getting their shotguns from their truck, Alan, James, and David positioned themselves along a ridge overlooking the fire and open fired.
What the fuck?
Roger was killed immediately, and Stuart was badly wounded.
Okay, wait a minute.
Sierra's like, how did this escalate so quickly?
So quickly. Like, I thought you were gonna impersonate like walk up and say, "Hey, I'm a cop. See
Give
my
me
gun.
your drugs.
Give
Bye."
me your drugs," or else.
Yeah.
At least, I mean, even cops can't do that, but at least you just immediately was like, "Oh, we're gonna pretend to be cops. Let's kill people." The fuck? I mean, I get that cops probably do that sometimes too, but can we not?
Yeah. Especially like teenagers.
For weed?
Yeah, right. This
Go
doesn't
grow your own, bud.
Yeah, the goal
70s.
does not fit the crime.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it's horrible, and obviously would be the scariest thing ever. At this point, the remaining teens took cover in the trees around them.
It's like a real life fucking scary movie.
I literally
You're
wrote
out
that in
in
my
the
notes.
woods,
This is
and then
literally the plot to a horror movie.
Seriously, you're just out in the woods. Suddenly, your friend is dead, and you have to hide in the trees. Like,
Yeah.
No, I would not be okay.
No, I would never go in the woods again. The
You're
Fryer
ruining the
brother.
woods.
Actually, no. Yeah, no, I take that back. It would take some time. I would need to seek
Yeah.
counseling. But either way, these kids should not have had to endure this. The Fryer brothers ordered the teenagers to come out of the trees where they were hiding. Michael and Sandra emerged together and asked the Friars who they were and what they wanted. Alan Fryer then shot Michael in the arm and said that they were police officers. Obviously scared, Michael and Sandra fell to the ground, but were forced to get back up by Alan. Alan and David Fryer then forced Dana, Michael, and Sandra along the trail away from their campfire. Sandra was tied up and placed in the back of the brothers' pickup truck. And during this time, Stuart was still gravely injured in the woods, but not in sight. I'm going to give a trigger warning here for horrible things to come. Unfortunately, Sandra is raped, so if that is not something that you can handle, feel free to skip ahead a hot minute. When Alan Fryer drove away in his truck with Sandra, she could see her friends in the distance as they drove away with the remaining brothers. She was terrified of where she was going and for them. After Alan left with Sandra, James and David Fryer shot and killed Dana, Michael, and they did end up finding Stuart and killing him as well.
Who raised these kids?
I do not know.
Like, what the... Are we gonna get into their background? Like, they just went
There's not a lot of information about them out there. There's not a lot of it.
And we're like,
unfortunately, there's not a lot of information about any of the people in the story out there, other than this happened.
How do you just go hunting one day and decide, you know what? Instead of killing animals, let's kill some people.
Yeah, who thinks that? Psychopaths.
What the fuck is wrong with your brain?
And
oh my
why?
God.
How?
This is terrifying.
I frequently ask myself how horrible people find each other and do horrible things together. But
Yeah.
when they're siblings, like all of you turned out fucked up. Like this isn't a 1 in
How?
3 situation where
How
the
did
other
this
two of you are
happen?
okay. Like
It's not even Florida.
I was in like the mid
It's right
east,
next to
right?
Ohio.
Yeah, it's not
Like Ohio, Indiana, Iowa. Like it's right there.
fuck. Yeah, it's really heartbreaking. I gave no warning at the beginning of this episode, and I'm sorry for that.
It just came out of nowhere.
Honestly, that's why I picked it, because I was like, what the fuck is
Yeah.
happening when I was reading it?
Jesus.
We're here to bring you guys captivating stories, and I'm sorry. The bodies were discovered the next day by a couple who was out driving through the park, test driving their new vehicle. So that's a date they ruined. Roger Essom's body wasn't discovered until a day later because he was within the woods lying by their campfire.
Oh.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking. Alan Fryer reiterated to Sandra as they drove that he was a police officer and that he was the boss of the three of them, and that the other two men did as he instructed them. Within a short time, James and David met up with Alan at an abandoned farmhouse. They pulled up in a car that was presumably taken from the scene after killing the group of teenagers. So it's believed that that vehicle belonged to one of them. Alan got out of the truck, leaving the headlights on, and walked over to talk to his brothers, which, being Sandra in this situation, I can't even imagine what's going on through her head. James then got into the pickup truck and proceeded to rape Sandra, ripping off her clothes in the process. After this, Alan got back into the truck after James left and said, quote, "That wasn't so bad, was it?" Sandra replied saying that she was a virgin before this and was completely hysterical. Alan said, "No, you ain't," implying that Sandra was some kind of hussy hanging out with 4 boys in the woods. And Sandra told him that she was a virgin and that she was only 13 years old. The car with Alan's brothers inside left right away, and Alan pulled up closer to the abandoned house, parked it, and grabbed a club, saying to Sandra that they needed to go inside and look for critters. Sandra refused to go, and finally Alan relented, driving off, saying that he was going to take her home. Before leaving the farm, Alan filled the vehicle's tank with gasoline from a red, like jerry can.
Yeah, like a gas can. Yeah.
Yeah. And that red can was something that would later help find this farmhouse. Alan then began driving Sandra home, still under the pretense of being a police officer, because this is how cops behave. Well, I shouldn't say that. There are terrible cops out there. Saying that Sandra was, quote, "too young to get busted." But okay, you didn't know how old she was before, and you were probably going to try and club her to death? Like,
yeah, and not too young to fucking rape?
yeah, just an
What?
absolute
You're
animal.
a pedophile now.
Absolute animal. I mean, it wasn't Alan that did that. It was the youngest brother, James, but still James is 21 and she is 13.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Disgusting. So, like I said at the beginning, 4 of these teenagers survived. And of course, we are like I said at the beginning of this, one of the 5 teenagers. Why? Oh my God, I can't speak. One of the 5 teenagers survived, and of course, we are extremely happy about this. But the psychological trauma and pain of what Sandra endured would be unbearable. But she did manage to keep her composure and was later able to tell real police officers everything that she remembered about the evening. She was interviewed several times and asked to take a polygraph test, which to me is bullshit. It's like, yeah, I get it. You want to make sure that she's telling you the most consistent story when her 4 friends were found murdered out in the woods. But why would somebody lie about this happening?
Yeah, she's a
Also,
victim here, buddy.
she is absolutely a victim, and not to be sexist, but she's the youngest out of all of them,
Yeah.
and she's a girl. Like,
Where are her parents?
yeah,
Because I don't know if you're even allowed to
you
talk to her.
aren't. Yeah, without a
And you
parent
might have
present.
been
That's
able to
true.
in the 70s.
Yeah, that's
Who
true.
knows?
And if you're like a young teen listening to this, first of all, I don't like it, but you do have to have a parent present if you are being questioned by police at all. So you know that, so you can refuse to answer their questions.
Well, I saw this on a TikTok recently and I sent it straight to my parents and I was like, tell all the kids. If you are ever arrested for anything for any reason whatsoever, whether you did something bad or not, do not call your parents with your one phone call and say, I did something bad or I messed up, because the prosecution can use that as admission of guilt.
Oh my God.
Just say, I'm at the police station. I
And
need you to come
you to
here.
come here.
Because they record
Oh.
all those conversations.
Oh,
Thank
that's
you,
something you
TikTok
would not even
lawyers.
think about that.
I know.
You know what? People are like shitting on TikTok for like frying your brain cells and your attention span, but we
They teach
learn
good
things on
things.
there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the shining a light at like fan. Oh my God, my fan is dusty. At fans and like vents and stuff in hotel
to
rooms because you can see if
see if
there's a
there's
camera
cameras.
lens. Yeah, so we learn things.
Yeah.
On November 29th, Sandra, along with Sheriff Greg Vinson of the Lyon County Department, drove
Hey, that's
around.
today.
Oh my
Said that's
God, no
today.
way.
Today is November 29th. Anyway.
Look at me picking things that make sense when we were recording. They drove along the countryside near Hartford, South Dakota, until she recognized the farmhouse by the large red fuel can that was abandoned outside right where Alan had left it. Idiot.
Mm-hmm.
And then to make him even stupider, the farm was owned by Alan's employer, a local farmer, and the brothers knew that the house was abandoned and that no one would be there that night. By a chance, at the same time, Alan drove by in his pickup truck that was used the night of the murders. Sandra shouted to the police officer, "That's him," and he was immediately pulled over and arrested. Can you imagine him shitting his absolute pants as he gets pulled over and the person that he attacked and let survive the night is sitting in the cop car? Like, just dumbass.
For so many reasons.
Yeah, for so many reasons. But like, what are the odds that he happened to drive by the scene of the crime at the same time?
That's karma, bitch.
Yeah, exactly. David and James Fryer were arrested shortly after. Alan Fryer claimed that the teens had been shooting at him and his brothers that evening, and that they had accidentally killed somebody in self-defense when they shot back. But how do you explain the other 3 dead teenagers and the girl that you brutally raped?
Yeah.
By Alan's 3rd interview, he told the truth, but he was still trying to justify their actions, saying that the 5 teens had been drinking and smoking marijuana and that they were only looking to steal the goods and they simply didn't cooperate. Which isn't okay either, to clarify. That's still against the law, stealing.
Yeah. Still murder, also, when they don't cooperate.
It's so stupid.
They're so dumb. Who raised these boys?
I don't know.
Seriously.
You know what? They don't claim them. That's why there's no information out there.
I understand it.
They're like,
yeah,
we tried our best. We don't know what happened here.
Yeah.
David Fryer told a similar story and then later changed his story to what really happened that evening. On November 30th, 1973, Sandra confirmed David and James Fryer in a lineup as the fellow assailants that evening that her friends died and she was brutally raped. She also confirmed that it had been James that had done that to her. The interview with James Fryer was much different. He immediately turned the blame to his older brothers, stating that the teens had been smoking marijuana and that Alan was wanting to pretend to be a detective and try and steal their weed. Sandra had been laughing the entire time and had willingly had sex with him. Okay.
Also, again, pretending to be a cop does not mean go in with a fucking shotgun and kill one first.
I just
That's not how you do that.
As a general rule, that is not how you behave as a human, people. He said that he had no idea that his brothers were going to kill the other teens. Alan and David Fryer were moved from Sioux Falls. Is that what we said? We decided at the beginning before I butcher it again. At Sioux Falls to Lyon County in Rock Rapids, Iowa. James Fryer remained in Sioux Falls in prison. On December 1st, 1973, all three brothers were charged with 4 counts of murder, and were arrested for 4 counts of murder, and bond was set at $400 per man. They weren't going anywhere for the time being. If their parents aren't claiming them, they certainly are not paying $1.2 million to take their asshole sons out of jail. In 1973, that's a lot of fucking money. Then their trials began. Sandra Chesky's testimony was obviously extremely important as she was the sole survivor of that evening and was able to recall what happened. They were tried separately over the course of 18 months, which I can imagine was incredibly painful for her as well as the victims' families. On February 12th, 1974, David Fryer pled guilty to 3 charges of murder and 1 charge of manslaughter, stating that Roger's murder was an accident. Back when they were just trying to steal their drugs. David admitted to killing Stuart Bade only. The judge sentenced David to life in prison without the possibility of parole, in which he replied, "No. If my appeals fail, I will actually write the governor and ask for the death penalty. I won't live out my life in jail. Keeping me in there is not going to change what happened. It can't bring those people back." End quote.
Yeah, but hopefully it makes you miserable for the rest of your life.
Yeah, which is what he
That's the point,
doesn't want to
bud.
deal with it. So he's like,
Yeah.
I'd rather die. In 2016, David asked the parole board to overturn the without possibility of parole rule, and it was denied after a testimony by Sandra and Mike Hadrith's sister, Lynette. So you stay in there, buddy.
Yeah. They had to live a fucking horror movie.
Yeah.
You're not getting out.
Yeah, exactly. It's literally a live horror movie. Alan Fryer was subjected to psychiatric testing and was found fit to stand trial. On May 20th, 1974, Alan was found guilty on 4 counts of first-degree murder and was sentenced to 4 consecutive life terms in prison without the possibility of parole. James Fryer agreed to be extradited from Sioux Falls from Lyon County, but then later fought the extradition, saying that he thought that him moving would mean that he would get out sooner. And I'm like, I'm not sure how you thought moving prisons was going to get you out sooner.
Probably the dumbest murderers we've dealt with, I think.
They really are. Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely up there. And I wrote in my notes, no, dude, they're just moving you.
What is going on in Iowa?
I don't know. What are they drinking in the water? No, we love our Iowa listeners, but are you okay? On June 18th, 1974, after Alan Fryer's trial, he and James managed to escape Lyon County Jail. They Ted Bundy'd it. They weaseled their way out because it was a minimum security prison because it was just a holding facility until they were moved.
Mm-hmm.
They stole a vehicle and they fled the state. They were later arrested in Wyoming and brought back to face further charges in Alan's case because he had already been to trial and to begin James's trial.
I have to know what these guys look like.
An extra 18 months was added to his sentence for his attempted escape, by the way.
Oh my God.
They look horrifying. Can you imagine those men coming out of the woods and just open firing on you? Like,
this looks like the fucking Hills Have Eyes shit.
oh my
Who
God.
are these guys?
Are they even human? Because they don't behave like it. James's trial would begin on December 3rd, 1974, in Lyon County, where a state psychiatrist determined that James's IQ was only 85, and that can range on the line of a mental disability, and that he obviously was coerced into doing what his brothers wanted and that he didn't know any better. But the jury didn't buy it. And on December 30th, James was found guilty of 3 charges of first-degree murder and 1 charge of manslaughter. My guess to the charge of manslaughter was because he was there, but he was not holding a gun when Roger died. So I don't, or he was just still claiming it was an accident.
Yeah.
Because James was going to be serving life in prison without the possibility of parole, the district attorney didn't think that there was a need to put Sandra's family through additional trauma and pain, so they didn't go through with a rape trial for Sandra, which is kind of bullshit because raping a child means no fun in prison. But it does mean that if for whatever reason he does manage to get a parole hearing or whatever and get out, that they have something that they can charge him with. But like we
Probably
talked
not
about,
because the statute of limitations on rape is
damn
not
it.
very
I
long.
think about the statute of limitations when I wrote that sentence. But I did think about my Nexium story where Keith Raniere raped a 15-year-old and she later completed suicide, and he didn't have to face charges for that.
Yeah.
Like I said, all 3 of the brothers were charged with 2 life without parole. All appeals that they've attempted have continued to fall through or be rejected. Alan is serving his life sentence in Anamosa, Iowa at the state penitentiary, and David and James are currently serving their life sentences at Fort Dodge Correctional Facility, and they are not to see each other.
Good.
The Gitchie Manitou murders have become so infamous throughout history that they actually inspired season 2 of the television series Fargo, which I had no idea. I would have never put 2 and 2 together, but I also haven't watched the TV show. I have heard of it though, so I imagine it's a good show if that many people are talking about it. But I do hope that it was done tastefully. Sierra has her mouth open. Have you watched Fargo?
No, but I've also heard, and I had no idea.
Of Fargo? Oh, okay. You're like, okay, that's a popular enough show that many people have
Yeah.
talked about it. And that is the tragic story of the murders of Michael, Roger, Dana, and Stuart, and the brutal attack on Sandra Chesky. She does seem to have good, like she's a strong person. Like I watched later interviews of her recounting this, like not recently, but in like the last 10 years. And she's just incredibly brave. Like obviously she misses her friends every single day, and obviously she has survivor's guilt, but she accounts them being easily manipulated into her getting out of there alive to begin with. And she's definitely going to keep going to all of their appeals and make sure they never get out. So
Good.
they shouldn't be out because Sierra's right. They don't look human.
Yeah, what is going on in Iowa? That's all I want to know. Or what was going on in Iowa
At
in
this
the
time.
70s?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. Was there like funny weed in the 70s? Was it laced with something? I don't know.
These people are insane.
I don't know. I'm sorry I gave you no warning at how quickly that escalated, but
Yeah.
I hope that you and all of our twisted humans enjoyed this week's sibling crime. I know that Sierra has an equally sad one planned for you guys next week.
There's nothing equal about it. It's much more twisted,
Oh,
I think is the way to put it.
okay. Not just stupid and horrible.
Yeah, not just stupid and horrible.
But yeah, let's end us on a positive note. A friendly reminder, though, if you enjoyed this week's episode, to go leave a 5-star rating and review. We super appreciate it. But in the meantime, Sierra, do you have something you're thankful for or something happy?
My
It can't
daily
be that you got a
gratitude
free
today.
Waffle House mug.
That was yesterday. My daily gratitude today will be that I've got most of my Christmas shopping done, I think. So that's good. I'm not doing a bunch of crazy stuff for Christmas this year, but my kids are, first of all, they have everything they've ever needed. But
And they
second of
just
all,
get harder and harder to shop for.
they're also like at an age now that they know they have everything they could ever need. And so they're not like wanting for everything, which is so nice. Like one of the things that both of them asked for was pants. I'm like, I can fucking buy you pants. I can do that. Like that's easy. Yeah. That
You're
makes me
like, joke's
happy.
on you. I'm obligated to buy you pants anyway. But
Right? We can make it a Christmas present. Sure, why not?
Aw.
So,
Aw. That's nice. That in itself is something to be thankful, is that your kids aren't greedy and begging for
yeah.
every toy they see.
Yeah, they're growing to be more grateful. It's
I mean,
nice.
anytime I've been with your kids anywhere, they ask if they can spend their own money on stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, they've never been greedy kids. Actually, Sissy is so cute that Bubba wanted something so bad that she was willing to buy it for him.
Yeah.
I think you said no to that one though, because it was a lot of money.
Yeah.
But that's super cute, being willing to spend your allowance on your or money you've earned on your brother. That's incredibly selfless.
They're pretty good kids.
They are.
What is your daily gratitude?
Given the circumstances in my life right now, I'm finding it incredibly hard to think of something to be grateful for, but I will say that I am grateful for empathetic and professional people that work in the animal industry.
Yeah.
And I am super thankful that Thumper is still doing okay and he's still eating and he's still kind of acting normal. So I will be thankful for his health
Good.
right now.
Good.
So that's all for this week before I start bawling. That, and we are going to go and record Sierra's December urban legend for Patreon. Before we go as well, I will say that there is something called the Gitchie Manitou Manor or murder site online, which shows you like abandoned ruins of an old building. It is heavily graffitied. It actually kind of looks really creepy and cool. It's said to be haunted, and a lot of people say that's because that's where the murders took place. It's actually incorrect. It took place down the trail. However, that building itself dates back to the 1800s, and the park and that manor have a very spooky tale and alleged haunting. So don't look at it, guys. I left it out on purpose because I would like to use it for an urban legend. It's a creepy little tidbit.
Cool.
So stay
Yeah.
tuned for that. We will see you next week for Sierra's sibling crime. And in the meantime, keep it
Twisted.
Twisted and Uncorked is a proud member of Weirding Way Media. Hosted and produced by Sierra Zorn and Alecia Watson. If you like the show, don't forget to leave a 5-star rating and review wherever you are listening now. It really is the best way to spread the word. You can check out all things Twisted on our website, twistedanduncorked.com, and we will see you next Tuesday for a brand new episode.